And happy Monday, everybody. As rookie face-off tournaments have concluded, training camps have opened across the 32 NHL markets. That means we're ever so closer, a week away now, if that, from the start of the NHL preseason. It is also episode 16, Mind Grenade Explosion, of Puck Talk here on the ETB Network, brought to you as always by our friends at Playback TV. She is Jen Kate, joining us out in New York. Callum McClurg here in sunny San Diego on a beautiful Monday afternoon, September the 15th, 2025. Jen, we got to finally watch some hockey. We had the Golden State rookie face-off in Irvine, California this past weekend. We've got plenty of rumors. We've got some hot talking points. Sadly, a very unfortunate death in the hockey community, or two of them actually today, that did break early today. We also have another guest joining us here as well, and Emma Miller from the High Danger Hockey Podcast. As always, Jen, so much ground to cover, so little time over the next 2 hours. Good to see you as always, Jen. Welcome on board. How are we doing today?
It's good, man. So much going on. Hockey's back officially. We
Let's
had the
go.
Rangers Flyers rookie face off, which they broke even 2 games to 2. So regardless, it didn't matter. The kids had fun. They all looked good. Everyone seemed happy to be back on skates. So hockey's back. That's all I can say. Hockey is fucking back.
At long last. I mean, it's some kind of semblance of fall being here. We know about the NFL starting, but now, of course, here we are with the NHL preseason again starting on Saturday this upcoming weekend. Most of our teams are starting either on Sunday or Monday for their first couple of games here this evening, or here across the week, I should say. Now, folks, a quick schedule alert for you folks. We know that we said this a couple weeks ago, but we'll say it again. Next Monday, we will not be having our usual 2 hour show. Rather, instead, on Monday, you will get to bear witness the 2025-26 Puck Talk Fantasy Hockey League Draft live in its full entirety, beginning at 2:45 p.m. Pacific Time. That is 5:45 Eastern right here. It's going to be in our usual time slot. You'll be able to watch all, I think, however many rounds the hockey draft is, involving Jen, myself, a bunch of our friends. We're playing in a 10-team league. We'll also be having some weekly updates of the league, but also we're adding a fantasy hockey segment during the course of the regular season schedule when our new rundown does kick into effect coming up in about a week or two. So look for that, though, next Monday. We will not have our regular program next Monday. We'll be having our fantasy hockey draft live here on Playback. And as always, folks, Playback is free of charge to sign up. Again, playback.tv. Then join our community at playback.tv/ETB Network. And more importantly, you can also watch every show simulcasted live on the ETB Network YouTube channel as well. We'll also take your live input too in the live chat box via the Power Chat feature, or any comments or questions you want to fire away, or of course hit up the YouTube chat, and we will use that for our mailbag segment when we do in fact get around to doing that, though, as time does go on. Jen, as we did say, though, a very tough day earlier this morning for the hockey community. One of them kind of out of the blue, one of them, though, also happening today as well. But of course, legendary Rangers goaltender Eddie Giacomin, sadly today, passed away at the age of 86 years old in Birmingham, Michigan today. Eddie, of course, a longtime goaltender for the Rangers, known for leaving the crease to play the puck. He was also the Rangers starting goaltender for the next for 9 seasons. Led the league in games played for 4 straight years between 67 and 70, and also the league record in shutouts in 67, 68, and 71. And was also a Co-Vezina Trophy winner for the Rangers, and typical of his competitive nature. In a game against the Chicago Blackhawks in 71 in the playoffs, when Bobby Hull skated over the back of his hand, he still played. And when the Rangers won the game, even the Blackhawks used the word guts to talk about Eddie's determination. The Rangers went on to meet the Bruins that year in the 72 final, but lost, though, in a hard-fought 6-game series. But of course, sadly, Jen, his career, though, was kind of in a way marred by injuries in the mid-70s, and also left via waivers to go to the Detroit Red Wings in 1975, and was also voted, or one of his games was voted one of the 50 greatest moments in MSG history when he came back with the Red Wings, got a standing ovation, and he was cheered for throughout the game. But then Ranger fans booed their own team when they took shots on or scored on Eddie and chanted his name throughout the entire game, which he won for Detroit in that game. He also had 3 respectable careers in Detroit before the youth movement took over. During his time there, he helped. He also helped writer and sports journalist Hugh Delano write a biography about his life and career titled "Eddie: A Goalie Story." He retired in '78 with a career of 289 wins and a 282 goals against average when he then became a broadcaster for the Rivals and also served as a assistant coach for the Islanders and the Red Wings and was also the Rangers goaltending coach for a couple of seasons and is in the Hall of Fame as of 1987. Obviously, Jen, as we already have said so many times, so that whenever the hockey role loses anybody, it sucks. But this is kind of like the Rangers kind of coming like of their era, I'd say, in the 60s into the 70s, but they were always a team that had great rosters, but never really got over like the Bruins hurdle, the Montreal hurdle, the Red Wings hurdle, even. But Jen, overall thoughts though on Eddie G's life, but also his career though with the Rangers organization.
I mean, I could sit here and go for hours with Eddie and all the things he did for this, not only just the team, but the organization as a whole. He truly, like, the Rangers said it best on their Instagram post this morning when the news broke while I was working at the school I work at around lunchtime, around, I think around 11:50 this morning Eastern time. When it popped up on my phone, they said it best. He truly embodied everything it meant to be a New York Ranger and then some. The great Roger Bear said he was one of the greatest teammates he ever had, and just called him a legend and like all these amazing things. So to get that honor from someone like that, Roger Bear, who's one of the best Rangers to ever play the game in history, I mean, it's such an honor, and Eddie will be remembered forever and never forgotten. I'm sure the Rangers will do something either at a preseason game or during the season when it opens up. For Eddie, I'm sure Eddie's wife will be in attendance, and some of their children as well will be in attendance as they do come back, as he is part of the alumni association, and I'm sure his family will be welcomed back anytime they want. But my thoughts and prayers go out to Eddie's family, friends, and teammates. Obviously, this is a great tragedy for the Rangers community, but for the hockey community really as a whole, Callan. And
Yeah.
this is going to kind of tie into something else I want to discuss quickly before we bring Emma on and we talk to her. This is a hard conversation. You guys kind of did most of the talking on press row about everything. I'm going to keep it brief, but can we please be fucking nice to each other? Like, seriously, the world's a dark place right now, and it's sickening. It really is sickening. I think Nick said it best. If some of you guys saw what he posted on Facebook, he also read it on press row. The world's a cruel place right now, so please be nice to one another, be nice to people around you, and hug your loved ones a little tighter, because you just never know when things are going to happen, and it's an unfortunate situation. Again, I'm not going to get into all the details what happened. If you guys watched the news lately, you are aware of what situation, what I'm talking about. Again, we will not. I think Callan and Nick did a phenomenal job on press row the other night, talking about everything that's kind of gone on in the world over the last couple days, but I needed to address it. If some of you guys saw on my Instagram story a few days ago, I made a post talking about my thoughts and feelings, and I will not go into all that, but please, like, the one thing I can say, be nice to one another. Like, the world is such a dark place, and the least we can do is be nice to each other and respect and love everyone regardless of your opinions, thoughts, and feelings on certain topics. I mean, I don't
Precisely.
care how you feel about anything that went on with a certain situation. I think Callan knows where I'm going with this. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. Be nice to one another. That is somebody's loved one. That is someone's son, father, husband, wife. It doesn't matter. That person is loved by somebody, and now you just took them from them. So please, let's be nice to each other. Let's not go crazy and murder each other, because that's not cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll digress a little bit.
And also the other big news in hockey before we bring our guest on as well. This was also very shocking to wake up to this news about the East Coast Hockey League and its member franchises having to mourn the loss and express their condolences to the family and friends of Orca Wiesblatt, who had passed away over the weekend in a very much tragic automobile accident at just the tender age of 25 years old. Orca had signed a contract with the Allen Americans for the upcoming 25-26 season. He did lead Athens of the Federal Prospects Hockey League with 42 points, 37 games. Also played for the Pensacola Ice Pilots, or Pensacola, I should say, the SPHL in the year prior, playing in 4 games, and also was with the Calgary Hitmen for 4 years in the WHL. The Allen Americans head coach and GM and former San Diego Gulls head coach way back in the day, Steve Martinson, said summed it up saying that we are all heartbroken, open and close quote. And obviously, Ozzy Wiesblatt has been around in the game of hockey with San Jose. I believe there was a video of him scoring a goal in the prospect tournament and having a field day with the Carolina Hurricanes bench. So all the best to the Wiesblatt family in wake of Orca's passing over the weekend. With that in mind, folks, we are going to welcome on our guest for the evening or afternoon, wherever you might be joining us from here, folks. And that is the one and only, hopefully you follow her across your social media platforms. That is Emma Miller joining us today from the High Danger Hockey Podcast. She is joining us from a smoking hot Phoenix, Arizona today, with the weather still being way much out of control. Obviously, Jen has been working very much diligently behind the scenes to get guests on. And obviously, Jen, we are obviously here for the game, but more importantly, getting and elevating more female voices into the league and onto the show here, which I absolutely love doing.
Yeah, I mean, Emma, I think she's having a momentary tech problem, so just stand by, guys. But she'll be here. I promise. She's not going anywhere. Um, Kellen knows this. The growing the game segment we've been doing every week. It's coming back. I promise. Things have been a little busy. I apologize. We haven't been able to get to it, but it's one of my favorite segments. When we did the PWHL story with Barbie, Kellen, you knew I had a field day with that. I did a whole Substack post on it. I posted all over social media about it. It was on my story. It was everywhere. It was one of the biggest female like PWHL stories I think there was in a very long time, and probably
Right.
ever will be. I mean, Tim Hortons and Barbie. I mean, are the two probably some of the biggest names out there. Like, even if you're not from New York, you know Tim Hortons, and if you're not from America, you probably more likely than not know Barbie. And having all the worlds combined was so cool. Like, I'm still looking to buy one of their dolls. I don't know. They've been out of stock for so long. So I haven't been able to get one. But I love that story. And I love that we have another female here who can talk hockey with us because it's been such a pleasure. So, Emma, first off, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. I know you're probably very busy right now with hockey season being back. So I thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. Thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, thanks again,
Absolutely.
Emma, for the time today. We really appreciate it again, especially as we said, now we're getting preseason hockey is starting like within the next 6 or 7 days. So we got a little bit of ground to cover with you here today. Again, we thank you so much for joining us. More importantly, Emma, let's kind of kick off though with some goaltending news. We'll start up in Calgary. That, of course, is the lockdown deal for the Flames having signed goaltender Dustin Wolf, Gilroy, California native, to a massive 7-year extension for $52.5 million, a deal that ties him to the franchise and kicks in the 26-27 season. Wolf, who is 24 years old, is off being number 2 in the Calder Trophy voting last season and was the workhorse for the Flames, going with a 29-win season. The long-term deal, more importantly, signals that Calgary sees him as their franchise goaltender for the next decade to come. So, Emma, I guess the big question here is that a long-term 7-year deal for a young goalie is a big commitment like Dustin Wolf. Thoughts on the extension, and more importantly, does it change the outlook you might have on Calgary's future? Where again, they were so close last season to a playoff spot, and then all of a sudden, like the bottom fell out in the last week of the regular season.
Yeah, so I'll start off by saying I have a lot of confidence in this Calgary group that they have right now. As you said, they missed out on the playoffs on a technicality, on a tiebreaker. They were right there. And, they just struck a little bit of misfortune. And I think Dustin Wolf is a huge reason why they had the success they did. And one of the biggest reasons why they were as close to the playoffs as they were. Because if you remember, they did not have the best season offensively speaking. Their goals stats were not great. What really shone and what really carried them was the defensive stats and the goaltending statistics. Now, as far as the contract itself goes, I'm a little wary of giving young guys contracts like this. You know what I mean? Because he's
Agreed.
having $7.5 million per year at this point once it does kick in next year. And I took a look at some of the other contracts, that the value of those contracts when it does kick in next year. He's going to be just below guys like Jeremy Swayman, Jake Ottinger, and UC Saros. He's going to be right below them in terms of annual average value. and he's going to be the 10th highest paid goaltender in the league at that rate. So I think it's a little early to be banking in on, a young goaltender that only has one full season under his belt. Now, that being said, I think he's fantastic. I think he is the goaltender of the future, especially after they parted ways with Jacob Markstrom. They needed someone to, step into those shoes, and he has done a phenomenal job so far. So I'm excited to see his potential, what he has in store. But at the same time, I think it's a little bit of a gamble. So mixed feelings about that extension.
Jen, there's always, I think, mixed feelings, as Emma said, though, when you give a young goalie, especially a goaltender, so young. Again, second in the Calder vote last year. Again, that went to Lane Hudson, of Montreal for his play last season. Again, though, his first full year, 29 wins. Long-term commitment, as I said, though, signals that Calgary sees him as their guy in the foxhole for the next 7 years. But Jen, your thoughts on the deal, as we said, though, and I think Emma hit the nail on the head, though. Big commitment for a young goaltender. So thoughts, Jen, on the extension, but more importantly, does it change your outlook on Calgary's future? I don't know quite how to feel about that yet, but where do you stand on it?
Honestly, I'm not mad about it. Again, as we said, Colin, every week, the league is only getting younger.
Correct.
They lock him up. Yeah, he's young, but he's going to get a chance to grow into that contract and grow as a player. And who knows, he could turn out to be one of the best goalies in the league. Again, look at Aiden Hill when he came in for Vegas, and all of a sudden, he was getting shutouts left and right. All of a sudden, no one thought he was going to do that.
Right.
Again, the kid gets a chance to prove himself, and if it doesn't work out, again, you can always go get an extra goalie and have the backup play a little bit more. You can switch out the way you want to rotate the goalies around. Again, this is not like a forever thing. His contract's going to end, and you're eventually going to move on anyway. But it's a bit ironic here because I'm calling the kettle black over here because my team's over here locking up a goalie for the next, 8-9 years to
Igor Shesterkin.
$11.5 million a year. Are we nuts? And he's a lot older than this young kid. This young kid, I think, is in his early 20s. I think Igor's either in his late 20s or going to be in his early 30s.
And Wolf is 24.
Exactly. I think Igor's 20. I want to say 27 or 28, I think. Or he's slightly older than that. But either way, I mean, this is great for Calgary. I mean, they're going that direction anyway. So this is not a shocking move. But again, the kid could turn out to be amazing. We don't know. Again, he's only had one season. And they lost, again, as Emma said, she could have nailed it perfectly. They got left out on a technicality. It wasn't even the team was doing that badly. It's a technicality. That's the league's problem, actually. Not even the team's problem. I don't blame the team. I don't blame the goaltender. Again, don't go after you're going to go after your coach, whatever, fine. Go after but don't go after your players. I guess you went into technicality. It had nothing to do with that. So I would ridiculous, though.
I mean, yeah, I would probably say that I think that Emma's got that. I think we all have made good points, though, that you want to kind of be cautious when you give a young goalie a contract of this magnitude. Again, Shesterkin in New York, with the Rangers, Dostal in Anaheim. I think Markstrom is in net for New Jersey, I want to say, at this rate. So, I mean, 29 win season's pretty. I think he actually either tied or came close to a franchise record for most wins by a rookie goaltender in franchise history. I mean, we're talking about Mika Kiprusoff at one point, about 25 years ago with Calgary. However, though, I don't know if it changes the outlook on the future because, like Emma said, though, I got to see the Flames play in Anaheim in January, and they really didn't have a very big offensive punch. They've got, Huberdeau and a bunch of other pieces around him that have come up through the pipeline with the AHL club. But goaltending felt like that goaltending won them a lot of games, and it really wasn't a lot of scoring wasn't their thing. But also, I think we have to look, though, Jen and Emma. This division that they play in is so damn top heavy. It's almost like a black and blue division. You got Vegas, you've got Edmonton, you've got LA. You maybe have an Anaheim team that might crack the postseason underneath, Joel Quenneville in his first year with the franchise. Calgary, again, was right there until, again, the bottom kind of fell out, though. But I think we all agreed, though, that you want to be optimistic, but I think you want to be cautiously optimistic, though, too, if you're a Flames fan, because you're giving, again, a 24-year-old kid a lot of money kicking in for the upcoming season, not this year, but the following season coming up in 26 and 27. Jen, we'll go to this next one, and I think we actually added this kind of late. to the show rundown regarding another goaltending situation right now involving Mackenzie Blackwood, who is also dealing with an injury right now in Avalanche camp at this rate. Along, though, to a Samuel Girard, who is also beat up right now with the Avalanche. Jen, I don't know if this is the right way to go about it. But I kind of feel like, though, the Avalanche have been a little bit of a disappointment come playoff time because goaltending has let them down. Because we know what they have across the top six and the defensive pairing. You have a bona fide Hart Trophy MVP, an Art Ross Trophy winner every year with Nathan McKinnon. You've got a Norris Trophy winning defenseman every year with Cale Makar. But for some reason, since 2019, Colorado's goaltending just kind of in a way taken not a drastic but a pretty slight dip on the stock market chart in my opinion. So Jen, overall stance on Blackwood getting injured, but more importantly, does the Avalanche season rely solely on goaltending, and it does not involve Nichushkin, Landeskog, McKinnon, and Makar? Does it solely rely on goaltending in your mind?
No, it doesn't. That's the nice thing. They have so much goddamn firepower up and down the goddamn lineup. Like, screw goaltending at that point. They have a million goal scorer. You could just stick a guy in front of the net and they'll score 8 goals for you. Again, while goaltending is important, you have guys like, again, they had Georgiev at one point. They had Darcy Kemper at one point. Again, both great goaltenders. Were they perfect? No. But did they get the job done? Yeah, they won the cup. So, again, if you really look at it, am I too concerned about their goalie situation right now? No. I don't really think the way, at least from what it says on social media, it looks like it's just a bang up. It doesn't look like there's a broken leg. It doesn't look like there's anything requiring major surgery or anything that's going to keep them out long term. I'm sure they're going to be out for summer training camp and some preseason games and maybe the very beginning of the season. But do I think this is going to affect their entire season as a whole? Not a chance. I think they're totally fine in goaltending. I think these guys will be back. They're fine. They're hockey players, for God's sake. They're not little wimpy. Sorry, Calvin. I'm going to go out to your sport here for a second. Not in soccer where they lay down and play dead pretty much. They're hockey players. They'll be fine.
Yeah, a guy barely touches him on the shoulder. Oh, my leg! Exactly. But Emma, what are your thoughts, though, about this? I think, though, that we can probably say, though, that since the cup-winning year for Colorado, goaltending's been a little bit suspect come playoff time. Again, we had that, I would call it a very startling upset when the Kraken knocked them out in 7 games. That was kind of, in a way, old friend Philip Grubauer knocking out old friend Colorado Avalanche. But like we said, though, again, this team is so damn loaded, like Jen said. Between McKinnon, Nichushkin, if Landeskog is fully healthy for a full season, you've got Makar running your power play and being being a bona fide shoo-in for the Norris Trophy every year. You get a goaltender in place in Colorado, they might be able to fend off a Winnipeg or a Dallas next season in that very much other black and blue division where I think all 3 clubs that made it all were all over 100 points in the standings. So, Emma, thoughts though about maybe Mackenzie Blackwood's injury, and is this really is this like a blip on the radar for the Avalanche, or is this kind of in a way a bigger talking point because they've had a bit of a revolving door since that cup year in 2019?
Right. Well, I'll start off by saying Mackenzie Blackwood was a very pleasant surprise for the Colorado Avalanche. When they acquired him from the San Jose Sharks, obviously he was not playing on a great team. He did not have great statistics.
Hey, Emma, just 1 second. Your mic is being really staticky, and I don't think I can hear you very well, so I want to get that fixed before we move forward.
Like Jen says, this would not be a show on here without someone having tech problems, so it's okay.
It's not even our show, it's our whole network.
We're live. Is this any better? I tried to mess with it a little.
No, it's still really staticky.
All right, let's see what I can do here. Oh, I know exactly why.
Hang on a sec.
This work?
There we go.
There we go. Now we can hear you.
Yay. It somehow got switched from my nice microphone to my headphones, which are not as nice. So bear with me. Computer. I'm sorry about that.
Thanks, computer.
I know. I don't know how it did that because it was fine before. So I'm like, I don't know what's up with that. Thank you for letting me know, though. I'm glad I didn't keep yapping and it was not working.
No problem.
So I didn't want to interrupt you, but I'm like, we kind of got to fix this before it gets too crazy.
Absolutely. No, I'm glad you did. So thank you for that. Sorry about that, guys.
No,
so
anyways,
yeah. Anyways, what I was beginning to say was Mackenzie Blackwood, sorry, my headphone's also like falling out, so we're just going to roll with it. Mackenzie Blackwood was a pleasant surprise for the Colorado Avalanche. That's what I would consider him, because when they acquired him from the San Jose Sharks, obviously the Sharks are not a great team. They are bottom feeders for right now, and we could talk about the future some other time, but in the present, not great. So his numbers, of course, were not great. And they really saw some potential in him. They acquired him via trade midway through the season, and boy, did he run away with that starting position. So I think you guys kind of hit the nail on the head when you're talking about the Colorado Avalanche are such a good team. You kind of just need to like copy and paste a decent goaltender in net, and that's all you kind of need for the winning ingredients. And I will say, while I don't think this is a huge concern long-term, because it doesn't sound like Jen said, it doesn't sound like it needs surgery. It doesn't sound like it's going to be, a season-ending injury. It's not going to keep him out for 8 weeks or whatever. However, I do think it kind of shines a light on a little bit of a weakness that the Avalanche have, and that is they don't really have much goaltending depth. So should this go crazy? Should he really require surgery, or should he get injured at any other point? Or even if backup Scott Wedgwood goes down at some point, it's like, what do we do next? And, it reminds me kind of the Sabres right now, who went out and made a bunch of free agent signings to, get some extra goaltenders. And they now have like 4 viable goalies that could come in and play at any minute. And of course, some of them will sit in the press box. Some of them will sit in the AHL. And that's just the way it goes. But the Avalanche don't have that luxury. They don't have the luxury of, being able to go to whoever they want. It's like they have Blackwood, they have Wedgwood, and then what happens if one of them goes down? So is it a long-term concern? Not necessarily. Is it maybe something that could become a problem if they don't solve the depth issue? Yes, I do think so.
I agree. I mean, goaltending depth is such a big thing, especially come playoff time, because we always hear we hear the stories, guys, about the teams who ride a hot goaltender to a cup final. I think of Jonathan Quick in LA in 2012. I want to say J.S. Jaguar in Anaheim in 2003. Even a Henrik Lundqvist a couple times in 12 or 14, just, to get them to round 3, round 4. That goaltending can take you so far. And I think that Emma and Jen are both right, though, that depth will be tested, especially if both Blackwood and Wedgwood. Do they only sign guys that have Wood in their last name for goaltenders, by the way? The depth might be tested this season. We'll see if there's anything that they might do for like some kind of trade, perhaps, or like they take a flyer on a guy just to kind of be like that third guy in goal for the Avalanche. Jen, we'll move on though to Pittsburgh. Obviously, today the Penguins did the ever famous tradition of the players literally walking up to front doors and giving the season seat holders their tickets, as always. That, of course, though, Jen, has been kind of clouded, though, by Sidney Crosby and the recent rumblings from his agent, Pat Brisson, who has addressed the trade rumors involving Crosby, perhaps going to Montreal, stating that while Crosby for sure only sees himself as a Penguin for life, a trade is always a possibility, given that the Penguins have missed out on the postseason for 3 consecutive years and now welcome in new head coach Dan Muse to the forefront. So, Jen, obviously, this will be another I don't know if it's a major sidebar like we've been saying, though. Our main thing is when the Oilers lose, it's going to happen with what's going to happen with McDavid. That's kind of where we're at with that one. But Jen, overall thoughts though about really I think the first public commentary made by the Crosby camp about his potential future in Pittsburgh with the Penguin organization and what might come out of this, perhaps, in your mind.
It's interesting the way you say this because, Callan, you and I talked a little bit about this early back when the Panthers won, when Boston traded at the last hour of the trade deadline, when they traded
Brad Marchand
to Florida, which no one expected that. There was not a word from his agent, nothing. Came out of nowhere. I believe it had a lot to do with whatever fight went down with him when he's like, I don't like being spoken to like that. I'm your captain.
Montgomery.
Pointing to the sea on it. I think that kind of ended things. But I think there was more that we didn't see. I'm wondering if there's a lot of tension going on in the locker room. And I'm wondering if Sidney Crosby's starting to feel the same way, where he's been leading this team for years and he's been the guy to take all the heat and the blunt of everything. But he's tired of losing. He wants to get another cup before he retires. Look at Marchand. He went down to Florida and he won a cup. honestly, I don't blame him if he's ready to move on. I mean, eventually, again, we said it. The Penguins are going to have to rebuild. They're going to lose Malkin. They're going to lose Crosby. They're going to lose
Letang.
whatever other major names they have over there because they're getting older.
Brian Rust.
Exactly. They're going to eventually have to reset anyway. So, and even if he does get dealt, he's eventually going to retire anyway. So does it really matter where he stays at this point? I get he wanted to do it with the Penguins. He's been with one team his whole career. He wants that note. But at the end of the day, if he does leave, I don't blame him. Like, you want to go and win. Why do you want to be on a team that loses every year? Like, I don't blame him. He's done so much for that team. You can, again, I'm going to make this statement, and I joke about this all the time. I say it to people all the time. You can lead a horse to water, you cannot make it drink. If a team wants to, they will. If they don't, they won't. And you can't get a team together, just throw a bunch of players. Like, look at Nashville, for example. You can't throw a bunch of big names in a ring and expect in one season to win a Stanley Cup. It doesn't work like that. And at this point, Crosby's going to go, like, almost like Marchand. He's going to go where the team is hot and doing well, and he's going to help them whatever way. And if he wins, he wins. If he doesn't, at least he was on a better team than whatever's going on in Pittsburgh, because clearly nobody's on the same page over there. Everyone's kind of angry at each other. I think they're going to eventually clean house anyway, so might as well get him out of there before that happens, so it's not all on him.
Emma, there's players in sports who you only associate with one team. For me, it's Tony Gwynn with the Padres for 20 years. It is the likes of Kobe Bryant, 20 years with the Los Angeles Lakers. Then in hockey, you've got guys like a Ovechkin, 20-plus years, all with Washington. Crosby, 20-plus years.
Kopitar.
All with Pittsburgh. Yeah. Anze Kopitar, Dustin Brown, all with Los Angeles. Ryan Getzlaf, all with Anaheim. 15, 18, 20 seasons long. But also, though, Emma, is that Jen said it right, though, is that since he got drafted, though, that Crosby has really had that entire franchise on his back post Mario Lemieux and Yager winning the Cups in the 90s. The threats of them leaving for Kansas City, I want to say, before the new arena sprouted up in Pittsburgh. And that he's been the focal point, the poster child. Not just, and I will say this, I think he's bigger in that city than anybody on the Pittsburgh Pirates, whoever's left on that roster, and even more than Ben Roethlisberger and guys on the Steelers, because, they won some Super Bowls. The Pirates had one winning season in 2015, but no one did more for Pittsburgh sports than Sidney Crosby, in my opinion, along with Malkin and what Mario and Yager did back in the 90s, though. But there's been no consistent team for Pittsburgh sports fans to really rally around other than the Penguins ever since Crosby came there. And it would kind of suck, though, for a guy who's a shoo-in Hall of Famer to not have Pittsburgh in that, somewhere along the career stats where, it's Pittsburgh, where then it says some team like, I don't know, Montreal or some other team. It just would not really, I think, feel right, though. But also, you have to look at it, though. The twilight years of a player like him going somewhere else to, like, right off into the sunset, like Jen said, though, about Marchand, being dealt like at 11:59 and 59 seconds of the trade deadline to Florida, which no one saw coming. So maybe, Emma, your stance about how this might play out, but also this is like the first real time we've actually heard from the Crosby camp, though, about is it time to go somewhere else after all these years? And thank you to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I will say, speaking to his impacts that he's had on the city of Pittsburgh, for starters, it reminds me a little bit of someone like Martin Brodeur, who really did much for the state of New Jersey. All of our sports teams left. We have NFL teams playing in Jersey with the New York name attached. So it's like, it's no fun. You know what I mean? That sucks. But he really is one of the guys that put New Jersey on the map. And what do you know? He ended up signing a contract with the St. Louis Blues in the very end of his career, and it did not feel good to see him in another jersey. As a very big Devils fan, I was like, yikes, I didn't blame him wanting to go and chase one last championship, but that's not what happened. He played a handful of games for them and called it quits, and we just try to ignore that. So
yes, you block it out when it happens like that. You block out that he even played there at one point in time.
Yeah, we just that's an asterisk. We pretend it didn't happen, So I would hate to see the same thing happen to Sidney Crosby, to be honest. But at the same time, I see both sides of it. I do agree with Jen. I wouldn't blame him if he wanted to go chase a championship somewhere else. I wouldn't blame him one bit. He's accomplished all there is to accomplish in Pittsburgh. He's done so much for that city, for that team, and they're kind of in an awkward phase right now, the Penguins are, where they're not quite rebuilding, but they're not quite contending for the playoffs. They haven't really committed one way. Exactly. Which way do you go with it? Do you start, there are trade rumors about Erik Karlsson, Brian Buss, Sidney Crosby. It's like, do you start unloading these guys and building your prospect pool? Because surprisingly, they don't have like the deepest prospect pool in the league. So they're at that awkward growing pain stage. It's like, what do you do? And at this point, it almost reminds me of like a Ray Bourque type situation. What is in the best interest of Sidney Crosby? Because
tremendous comparison. I didn't even think about Ray Bourque, but you're right though. 22 years in Boston, goes to Colorado, and they win it all. And who does Joe Sakic give the cup to after winning it? Ray Bourque.
Yeah. And he deserved that, man. He poured his heart and soul into the Boston Bruins, and they really did him a favor by letting him have that one last hurrah. And, maybe Sidney Crosby deserves the same thing. Now, is it the most likely outcome? Honestly, I don't know. I don't really think he gets traded, to be entirely honest. I think he's a guy that runs on principle, and he's a very respectable guy. And, I think he's loyal enough to the Penguins. He might not want to leave, but, it's really worth considering. He's still elite. He would still contribute so much to any team he would go to. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. Could go either way.
And I know the one hot commodity was him going home to Montreal. He is from Nova Scotia, kind of nearby. Again, very young talent there. Lane Hudson, Calder Trophy winner. Certainly they're going this way, with where they're at in Montreal at this stage. Again, folks, Emma Miller joining us from the High Danger Hockey Podcast here for a couple more minutes here on the 16th episode already of Puck Talk on ETB, proudly brought to you by our friends at Playback TV here this afternoon/evening. Emma, we'll get you out of here on this question, though. Again, obviously, the Washington Capitals went from a last to first run President's Trophy last season. Obviously, Alex Ovechkin also broke the scoring record set by Wayne Gretzky, a record that I think a lot of people did not foresee getting broken, but it finally did get broken after all these years. That was also with Alex missing time with the broken leg, and being at the age that he is, though. But also, more importantly, Emma, two developments on the Caps home front. They have officially brought back the Screaming Eagle logo on the red alternate jersey finally in the new color scheme. But also, and this is going to be very awesome finally for fans who have wanted these to come back, the Caps will also bring back paper tickets. No more digital devices get into the game finally, because they're saying this could be Alex Ovechkin's final season, though he has not obviously confirmed or announced that yet. So, Emma, but I think, though, Emma, what a year for the Caps, though. Again, first-time head coach in Spencer Canberry last season, last to first, ran out of gas, though, in the postseason. But obviously, everyone, though, any hockey fan out there was glued to watching the chase for Gretzky. And obviously, it was a big, talking point. Fans on the road, like out here in Southern California, the prices would go up when he would come into town. Like, hey, this could be a pretty momentous day, if in fact he scores in general. So I guess, though, Emma, more importantly, just thoughts, I guess, about Alex Ovechkin last season, and also about the Caps, kind of in a way. Though it's not been said, but the paper ticket thing, though, is kind of cool. That hopefully that this isn't the last hurrah for Ovi this upcoming season.
Yeah, I mean, on a personal level, I hope that this isn't his last season. Ovechkin's one of the most fun players to watch in the league. I mean, when he sets up shop on that circle, he is dangerous. And he is just it's a privilege to watch him play. You know what I mean? So I, on a personal note, would hate for him to retire. Although on a business standpoint, it would make perfect sense. His contract is ending. He's entering the last year of his contract now. He's about to turn 40 years old. It would make sense. He's accomplished what he set out to do. Now, something that I found interesting, there are two things. The first thing is that email that Capitals marketing sent out a couple months back by accident. They had sent out the email to season ticket holders, and they were like, oh, Ovi's last hurrah. Like, this is his last season before retirement. And within 1 hour, Capitals Twitter was like, we deeply regret that this email was sent out in error. It was such a bad look. But
Oops.
it makes you wonder, why is this internal message, why are people
Why is
talking
any of this
about
leaking
this?
out? Exactly. Why is this leaking out, people?
Yeah, why is this even on people's radar? Like, why is some marketing person thinking that this is going to happen? So that kind of is a question mark. It makes you think a little bit, right? Something else interesting that Ovechkin himself has flip-flopped about a little bit over the years is he spoke to a Russian media outlet 1 year ago now, last August, and he had said he might or might not retire after his NHL contract is up. However, he brought up the possibility of going back to Russia and playing one last season in Russia before he officially hangs him up. So that was something he wouldn't commit to in either direction, but he did say, it would be nice to go back home to Moscow and play a couple of games and end out my career. So even if his NHL career does come to an end, it might not be the end of his hockey career. That's worth noting for sure.
Yeah, and we see that all the time, though, where guys who probably didn't have their career turn out, though, usually go and play in the Swiss League, European leagues, over in Russia, the KHL. Jen, obviously, last year was kind of a whirlwind, as I said, for the Caps, getting worst to first, President's Trophy winners. But like Emma said, though, you have the undercurrent, though, away from the the chase for Gretzky. Again, we had like that major, massive PR nightmare for the Capitals happen, where that email leaks out about, hey, Ovi, is retiring. When next season concludes, though, then they have to put out a statement saying, hey, this was by accident, so on and so forth. Jen, your thoughts, though, about maybe where the Caps go next season with what kind of right now feels like some small tension in the air about, is Ovi really going to call it quits when the year does conclude?
Well, let's look at all the facts. You had that email that was sent out that supposedly was a mistake. But if he wasn't retiring, why would you even have the thought of possibly even sending that out to your season ticket holders, who I know a lot of them from the videos I've seen them going to like almost like Pittsburgh did. A lot of their season have been with them since the beginning. Why would you want to send out that email and have to recover and say, hey, this was a mistake, if you don't have a thought in your mind that that's possibly the end of everything?
Right.
Why would you, again, if you're kind of saying off camera to each other, why would you go and get paper tickets for only your season ticket holders if it's not the end? Like, he's been wavering on, as Emma said, going back to Russia. I've heard the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to move his family back there. His parents are there. His siblings are there. Why wouldn't you want to go back and play? Look at Jaromir Jagr. He's 50 years old and still playing. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I do think this is the end for him. I think his leg injury really did take him out. While he broke the record, he also wasn't that far away when he broke his leg anyway. So we knew it was probably going to happen. I knew a lot of people thought maybe it wouldn't. And I think it was funny that it would happen here on Long Island with the Islanders. I think that has a bit of serendipity to it. Also because Ovi had never scored on Ilya Sorokin. And that final goal, that one that broke the record, was on the goaltender he had never scored a goal on. So I think it was a little serendipitous for him. And I think it was funny enough that it happened here in Long Island because all the Islander fans were very angry.
Of
they
course.
Had the whole game. Gary Bettman was there. They were booing his ass as usual. But I generally do think for Ovi, I think the end is near. I think he's had a rough time with injuries over the years. While it's not every year. Remember, he's an older guy compared to what the league is currently. And he's not able to keep up the same way he was almost 10, 15, 20 years ago now. The way the league is building now, it's, again, Kellen and I say this every show, it's a young man's game. The older you get, the harder it is to keep up. The faster these kids are, the smarter they are, the higher quality of hockey they're playing. The older guys are just not able to keep up the way they would. And I always say it, and I said it to Kellen multiple times when we talked about the Blake Wheeler injury. We talked about, a bunch of guys having to retire due to injury. Why get to that point? Hang it up before you get to that point. You don't want to end a legendary career like his on a injury. It would not be worth it, and it disappoint, I think, not only the home fans, but himself as a player. I don't blame him if he wants to go one more season and he doesn't get injured. Hang it up. You've done everything there is to do. You've won awards. You've won Stanley Cups. You've played a million games. You broke the scoring record. You did kind of everything there is really to do. He's been to All-Star games. He's played in the Olympics before. He's done everything there is to do. The media tour. He's done it all. There's nothing left for him to really do. What is he chasing at this point? There's nothing left for him to chase. He's done it all already. Why not hanging up? I don't blame the man. I mean, again, as I said for the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think the Capitals are the same way. I think eventually, over time, they're going to have to blow it up anyway. Because, again, they're going to lose guys like Dylan Strome. They already lost TJ Oshie. They're going to lose Ovi. They're going to lose... They lost Backstrom. They lost, all these guys that were originally a part of that core when they won are gone. John Carlson's going to retire eventually. He's getting older, too. He's not going to be around much longer. Again, I don't blame the older guys for wanting to hang it up. The older you get, the league isn't doing the same thing it did 15 years ago, where older guys played in the league until they're in their late 30s, early 40s, and could get away with it. That's not the way the league works anymore, and it's unfortunate. But again, there's nothing. It's almost like Kane for me in the same way. Really, like you won a cup, you've won, a bunch of what is there really to chase? What do you get going to break this time? I mean, you broke pretty much everything is to break. I mean, he's going in the Hall of Fame regardless of how he ends his career. So it doesn't matter. Why not hang up before you get to that point?
Yeah, I don't want to say that they're stubborn, but I think it's just a matter of fulfilling the contract obligations for one more year. I think, though, that he probably would go back to Russia, play one more year for his club back there, and then call it quits. But we'll see, though. I mean, this will be a very interesting year to see what happens with both Crosby and Ovechkin as the year gets underway very soon. Emma, before we let you get out of here, thanks again for joining us today. A very great start to our program. Please let everyone know where you are at on social media, and where can they find your podcast as well.
Awesome. Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. It has been such a pleasure talking hockey with you guys. You can find the High Danger Hockey podcast across all social medias. We're pretty much High Danger Hockey on TikTok, Instagram, on X. You can find us at High Danger Pod. And then you can stream High Danger Hockey on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Beautiful. All right. Emma Miller, thanks again for the time. We appreciate it very much.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
We will for sure be in touch. Emma Miller of the High Danger Hockey Podcast joining us here as we revert back to our two-person game for the remainder of our show here today on Puck Talk episode 16 here on Playback, here on ETB. All right, Jim, let's get back to some other topics on the table here this afternoon. Let's get to Connor Bedard's situation. We already have one Connor already in the news with a contract, but this was another one that was asked of the young Chicago Blackhawks rising star about his contract issues and at the NHL Player Media Tour, and he downplayed any panic, stating in part neither side is panicked at all. Both sides are talking, and it will get done when it gets done, with this ELC running out after the conclusion of the upcoming season. So, Jim, we have one Connor problem already with McDavid's contract. Now we're seeing a similar but more subdued chatter about Bedard. Jen, how much of this is more media hype versus an actual storyline for a Chicago franchise who has literally gone nowhere in the past 3 years?
Oh my God! People need to, first off, the kid's a rookie. Let him relax and have fun. Stop getting in his face with cameras. I think his contract's in the works. I think it's gonna happen. They want him there. He's a young kid. Their roster is rebuilding. They're a young core. They're gonna work their way up. I don't think there's anything to stress about. I don't think this is a big situation. I think he's totally fine. His contract's gonna get done. He's gonna get the money he deserves. He's gonna do his thing. He's going to have a great year as long as he stays healthy. I don't see this as a big thing. Again, the media blows everything out of proportion and then some. Again, look at the big markets like New York, Toronto, Florida even almost is getting to be the same way because they're always winning. There's a lot more pressure. I mean, original 6 teams as well have a lot more pressure. I mean, I think Connor's fine. I think he's downplaying it because he just doesn't want to deal with it. Because if you look at really everything, again, he's never been one to talk about his contract. He doesn't go out and buy flashy things. He's not one to flaunt money and go, I can even, again, I'll connect this back to another story because, again, it rings so clear in my mind. He's not like the basketball player who went out and waved a gun like a napkin on a freaking Instagram live stream because he's an idiot.
John Morant.
John Morant, yeah, exactly. He doesn't go out and do flashy things like that where he gets himself in trouble or he gets, into some Connor is he's not on social media a whole lot. I'm pretty sure his PR team's already running his social media for him. I'm like 90% sure. He doesn't go out and post crazy things. He doesn't spend a ton of money. He is fine, people. Let him be. Don't turn this into a freaking Connor McDavid situation. It's not that serious, friends. It's okay. The season just started. Let's get there and see how he does. He's already had an injury to deal with. He's had some stuff go on. They're gonna get there. It's fine. He's not going anywhere. He's loyal to them. It's not that big deal. It's not a situation.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal because we're talking about two guys with the same name, but they're in different realms right now. We have an Edmonton team who might be losing their star player if they don't win a championship next season in Connor McDavid. We have another Connor in Chicago who, let's face it, they have been stuck in perpetual rebuild since the 2015 team won the Stanley Cup, and then losing Taves and Duncan Keith and Kane and all those guys. Like I think we knew, Jen, that the Chicago rebuild was going to take time, much like San Jose. But this is two parallel lines. The McDavid one will take precedent because Edmonton has the pressure and the expectations of getting to a third straight Cup final and actually winning the damn thing and not losing again to Florida or some inferior opponent. But Dart's situation is like the beginning of the rebuild phase for the Blackhawks. We knew that, but we knew, though, I think, Jen, Bedard was entering a very tough rebuild because Chicago has just been so bad these last several seasons, and that, he had the broken jaw his rookie season. He obviously does not have a lot around him. Yeah, I like Ryan Donato. I like some of the guys they have there, but that's still not enough right now for what the Hawks are doing. So I think, Jen, these are two separate things. Again, we have one situation, as I said, back-to-back playoff or cup final losses in a team currently rebuilding who is trying to get more than 15 or 16 wins next season. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think this is the kind of guy you build around when you are going through a rebuild like what San Jose has gone through, what Anaheim's gone through, what the Blackhawks went through, is that you have to get that young kid. And again, like I always say, Jen, these kids don't translate right away to the pros. This is in any sport, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, soccer, that they don't. I always love using Trevor, like the Trevor Lawrence effect. Guy who had never lost a game from Pee Wee until the NFL. Like, they need to find out the hard way a little bit about you are going to fail and that we can't always have expectations be here for the hot shot commodities like Celebrini and Bedard. They're going to lose games. They're going to lose 50, 55, sometimes 60 games a season. It's not going to be done overnight with a magic wand.
Exactly, and I like what Christy said down in the comments. The pressure in Edmonton must be intense. I absolutely agree. I think Edmonton right now with the whole Connor McDavid situation. Me and Kellen joked about this on a show a couple weeks back, where we said as soon as they start to lose, what's Connor McDavid going to do? It's all the Connor McDavid show.
That's literally all we're going to do, Jim, when the season starts.
Reminds me of when Sidney Crosby got his first shot in Canada, where on the broadcast they go, "Welcome to the Sidney Crosby Show, Canada." Like, literally, it's the Connor McDavid show. It's literally the same thing.
Yeah, I think, again, Edmonton's here with expectations. Chicago's kind of down here. It just plain as day as that. Jen, other players in the news for contracts. This was kind of a startling development, but Minnesota Wild forward Kirill Kaprizov has reportedly shot down an 8-year, $128 million offer from the Minnesota Wild. This would have made Kirill the highest-paid player in league history by getting an AAV of $16 million. The Wild ownership group had previously stated his intention to make Kaprizov the league's highest-paid player. So obviously, Jen, turning down that kind of money is a statement. What do you think, though, is going on here? Is he looking for a shorter-term deal, or, as I said last week about McDavid, waiting for the salary cap to rise to make the deal even worth more money next season? That's what I think is going on here.
I think so. I don't think this is him wanting to leave Minnesota. I don't think this is a slap in the face of Minnesota. I don't think this is anything worth getting riled up over. Yes, he turned down a ridiculous amount of money, and I think he is a little bit foolish for it. I don't disagree that they're probably waiting for the salary cap to go up to pay him even more. Do I think he's eventually going to get his contract? Absolutely. I don't think there's a doubt in my mind. I don't think he walks anywhere else. Again, all the Rangers fans are up in arms right now. Kaprizov to the Rangers. Okay. Let me break something down for you, idiot Ranger fans. I'm sorry, I love you guys, but it's gotta stop. We have no cap space. We're broke. We have no money. We need money. When the cap space goes up, we still have guys that are under contract worth 7, 8, 9, 10, $11 million. We have no wiggle room. We, in case we have injuries, we have to bring guys up. There's a waiver wire. There's so many things. He's not coming here.
By the way,
Maybe
Jen,
eventually, yeah.
Per Puckpedia, the Rangers only have $778,000 left before they hit the cap.
Yeah, exactly. Unless they want to sign an AHL guy, maybe, sure, go with that. But Kirill Kaprizov wants $16 million. Where are you funding that money? Who are you trading? Who are you getting rid of? Getting rid of Mika? Getting rid of Panarin? You getting rid of Fox? What are you doing to get him?
Igor.
Exactly. I stand my point, Rangers fans. I love you, but I think it's a little bit of a ridiculous situation. I get people want to live a fantasy and would love to see him in red, white, and blue. I would too. I mean, a guy like that, I would want him on my team. But at the same time, let's look at the reality and the facts of the situation. And the fact is, we have no money. We're poor. We're a broke ass franchise. We need money. We need help. We can't wait for the salary cap to go up. We'll have a little bit of wiggle room.
Yeah, per Puckpedia, by the way, Vegas $7 million over the cap. Florida $4.5 million over the cap. Edmonton has $226,000 before they're at the cap. Dallas $405,000. St. Louis $625,000. Rangers $778,000. Tampa $1.18 million away from the cap.
All the teams have their guys locked in already. That's why. I mean, again, look at, we talked to Neil last week about the Devils. Same thing with Luke. They're waiting for the salary cap to go up. They're waiting to be able to give him a big contract. I don't think Capro goes anywhere. I think he's a Minnesota Wild for life, probably. I don't think he's gonna leave. He's loyal to them. He's been there forever. He's one of their the best guys they have on their roster. I mean, again, I can go with Matt Zuccarello, but Matt's also on his way out. Let's look at it factually. He's going to be on his way out eventually. Another injury will take him out. So I think they're just waiting for cap to go up. I don't think this is the biggest deal as people are making it. I don't think this was, again, as I said earlier, I don't think this is a slap in the face. I don't think this is anything.
No.
I generally think they're just waiting to get a deal done, and they're waiting for pieces to fall into place. That's it.
Yeah,
I don't think they're in a hurry. He's not going anywhere. He's not saying, he's not demanding a trade. He's not unhappy. So they're probably not in a big rush to get it done.
Yeah, I don't think it's a slap in the face, Jen. It kind of goes to the point I brought up last Monday about the whole thing with McDavid. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? As we've been saying for, the running joke about they lose a game. What we're going to be talking about, where's he going to be going? That next year is going to be very much interesting because we know the cap is going to go up. And I think more teams will be inclined to spend more money, not on this season, but I think next year's free agency class, Jen, probably is where all the money will be given out at this rate for everyone. And I think, though, that it's a matter of just, you got to be patient. And by the way, just looking kind of over the last 5 years for Minnesota, Jen, 2020, 21, 7-game first-round loss to Vegas. 21, 22, first-round loss to St. Louis. 22, 23, first-round loss to Dallas. 23, 24 did not qualify. 24, 25, 6-game loss to Vegas in round 1. This guy cannot shoulder the burden about this team getting through, because I think they do have some guys around him between Joel Eriksson Ek. They've got Marcus Foligno. They've got a Ryan Hartman. They've got a Marcus Johansson. They have a lot of guys that I think can really, in a way, fill voids. They even have Vladimir Tarasenko on their roster. They've got some pieces along with, Matt Zuccarello, who is going to be, who already is 38 years old, for heaven's sakes, too. But that they do have a lot of, good pieces. But also, Jen, look at that division that they're in. I mean, St. Louis, Minnesota, Winnipeg, Colorado, Dallas. The Central is just, a different beast right now. And I think you're right, though, more importantly, though, Jen, this is no slap in the face or disrespect. It's a thing of patience is a virtue. Wait till next year when the cap goes up, and maybe it'll be a year shorter because it won't be an 8-year deal. Who's not to say it's 7 years and like 130 million, for example, and it's like an $18 million AAV hit for all that I know.
Exactly. I don't think Minnesota fans really have anything to stress about. I don't think this is anything crazy. There's no bad blood. He's not demanding a trade. He's not yelling at anybody. He's not upset. He's happy to be there. He wants to be there. He likes it there. So don't panic it.
By the way, can we please stop with this BS about when a guy turns down a contract that we immediately put out the list of like top suitors for the player?
I love it though. I love the enthusiasm. I can get behind it, but I think it's wild.
It's a
No
bit too
pun
much.
intended.
It's a bit too much. Jen, on the player home front here, we got a couple of other names in the news, though. But St. Louis Blues prospect Zach Dean has officially joined the NHL and NHLPA Players Assistance Program for an indefinite period of time. He'll return when he is cleared by program administrators to do so. In another freak injury news, newly acquired LA Kings forward Corey Perry was reportedly taken off the ice via a wheelchair after he was injured on Friday's practice in El Segundo, California. Reports are that Perry could be out for at least 8 weeks after a knee injury he suffered in the first practice of the season for the Kings and the newly signed veteran forward for LA. Jim, let's first start, though, with the Zach Dean angle. We obviously have talked a bit about the Players Assistance Program, which I really think that was kind of like the first of its kind. I think the NFL has this in place, and that baseball has a thing kind of similar to it, but not fully there, though. We've heard the stories, though, about Valeri Nichushkin of the Avalanche, who had to go through it on several occasions. We've heard, I think, Carey Price went through it, Craig Anderson went through it. Jen, how important and vital is, though, that leagues actually now have taken the mental toll factor of this game, not just playing the game, but also the time away from home, dealing with injuries and all of this sort of things, where guys have been in there for abusing alcohol or substances, or maybe they still smoke, cigarettes or whatever. How important, though, Jen, especially nowadays, is it for a league to try to help combat some of the internal and emotional demons away from the physical scars that we see on the ice on a given game day?
Oh, it's got to be tremendous. You're away from your family for what, 80 something games plus another almost 15 or whatever, depending on how far you make it in the playoffs. That's a lot of time to be away from your family, your friends, your kids. You're missing major milestones. You're missing days of school. You're missing birthdays, weddings, holidays. You're missing all sorts of stuff. It's got to take a mental toll. We don't know why he's entering the Players Assistant Program.
Yeah.
There was no real information out, so we can't speak on what the actual issue is. All we can address is what we've seen in the past, and we wish him, again, whatever is going on with him, we wish him nothing but the best. We hope he receives the care and treatment that he needs to face whatever it is going on with him, whether it be an addiction, whether it be mental, emotional, physical, whether it be drugs, alcohol. We don't know. We have no idea. We cannot assume what he's going on. But again, we wish him nothing but the best moving forward. The NHL Players Assistant Program is actually one of the best ever. So I'm sure he'll get the doctors he needs, whatever it is he needs, he'll get. And eventually, when he feels ready and when the program administrators clear him to come back, he'll be back. Blues fans, I don't think this is really as bad as it looks. It could be mental. We don't know. Again, I would not panic it. Just let the kid take the time he needs, and he'll be ready to play again. Again, these guys go through so much stuff, being away from home, moving away from home, being away from family, friends, kids, parents, missing important life events. We don't know what kind of toll that takes on everybody. Patty Maroon said it best in an interview. He did. I forget who the interviewer was, but he was watching his son, Anthony. This is many years ago. Anthony's grown up now and very mature, and he's back with his dad because dad's retired, and he's playing, actually going to be in the NHL, I believe. So, but this is years ago. They showed him a clip of his son reacting to him scoring a goal, and he was all cheering and jumping, and even Patty Maroon was in tears, saying how much he missed being away from him and how he couldn't wait for the Christmas break to go spend time with him and be with him. So, again, guys, these players are human. Let's not judge them for having emotions or whatever they have going on, we want the best for them because obviously it's a long year. They go through a lot of injuries. They see a lot of dark shit, whether it be in the locker room, whether it be family stuff. We don't know what's going on in their personal lives away from the arena. So again, we wish Zach Dean nothing but the best, and we hope he receives the care that he needs.
Yeah, that's all you can hope for. I think, especially Jim, when you're a prospect coming up and it's so hard to get in and stay in with the sport, with the nature, maybe you're battling all of the times you get sent back to the minors after you fill a roster void. Maybe you don't play, for example. That can kind of in a way begin to take a toll. Like, am I not doing things right? How do I stay and not get sent back to Springfield, which is where their affiliate is for St. Louis. So again, wishing Zach Dean all the best going forward. Obviously, Jen, Corey Perry, longtime NHL journeyman and longtime veteran forward, though kind of a fluky thing to happen to start training camp again. Wheelchaired off the ice after a lower body injury was suffered. Jen, pretty tough blow for a LA club who is not quite old, but there's still a old team with a lot of very young talent on their side, though. Obviously, adding Perry to the mix, though, added a hated rival for a long time when he played his 14 years in Anaheim. But Jim, though, obviously this news sucks, though. For a guy like Corey Perry, who he's kind of become like the walking meme, sadly, of hey, got to the final but lost, But still, though, a guy who again, Hart Trophy winner, 50 goal season in 2011, 2012 for the Anaheim Ducks, Cup champ in 2007. Jen, though, tough, though, to see a guy first practice getting wheelchaired off the ice, though, in a very freak incident that happened, though, for the Kings and for Corey Perry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, after everything that went on with the situation, him being accused of sexual misconduct, we'll put it, with a certain teammate's player's mom, supposedly, from what the rumors had circulated. Again, there is no proof of that, so do not accuse him of that, because, again, there is no evidence of that. Again, he lost a lot of time playing in the league because of that, because he was suspended during the investigation. And he came back. He played for a while with, I believe it was Anaheim.
Yeah, he went and played. He was in Chicago when that happened.
Chicago, correct. Okay. And then he got traded to the Kings during the trade deadline. And during their first practice, he got injured. And now he is said to have missed 6 to 8 weeks with a knee injury. And he will require surgery. But again, he's an older guy. That is just a timetable. That is not actual stated facts based on his recovery, because they don't have a probable timeline yet. They're going to assume it's 6 to 8 weeks. Again, he's not like a young guy where he can jump back immediately. It's going to take a little bit longer. So I would assume he's going to miss at least 2, if not 3 months possibly, if not longer, depending on how bad the injury is and how his recovery goes.
Yeah, especially for a guy getting up there in age as he is. Taking a quick gander. Corey Perry, by the way, Jen, is already 40. He turned 40 back in May of this year.
Yep.
And they're saying it's several weeks. It could be longer, like you said, as well. Also, by the way, he is not wearing number 10. He has not worn it since he left Anaheim after all these years. He's wearing number 90 in Los Angeles. But at the end of the day, though, sadly, this sucks. It's a very unfortunate thing, especially when you hear a guy getting wheelchaired off the rink after
one practice.
Just one practice. Was that just him losing an edge? Was it a weight room thing? Was it something else that happened that triggered the injury? Who knows? But again, Corey Perry, folks, of the LA Kings, officially out for about 6 to 8 weeks after undergoing successful knee surgery after a injury suffered in practice on Friday at the Kings facility in El Segundo, California. Jen, back on the goaltending front, goaltender Alexander Georgiev has signed a 1-year, $825,000 deal with the Buffalo Sabres, trying to regain his form after a tough year with both the Avalanche and also with the San Jose Sharks. But on the flip side, though, Jen, Marc-Andre Fleury has signed a professional tryout contract with the Pittsburgh Penguins to play in a preseason game coming up later this month against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Is probably his final chance to play with the Penguins before he does in fact retire. I loved how he did it though with the 3 mini cups. He had his rings on and was in a bathrobe signing the contract for his PTO. Jim, let's start, though, with Alexander Georgiev. Obviously, a guy who's bounced around. I think he was with the Rangers at one point in time, went to Colorado this past season, then went to the Sharks and had a dismal season to start the campaign there. Trying to get his form back, though, in some way. Now, Jenny's going to Buffalo. Thoughts on the very much low risk, low reward signing by the Sabres of Alexander Georgiev for the upcoming season?
He is a phenomenal goaltender. Let's start with that. He was with the Rangers for a couple of years. He was
Had some pretty decent years there.
And he had a really good year here. He was top of his game. Again, he got bounced around. He had some injuries. He's getting older. We've seen this game before. I think he's going to have an okay year in Buffalo. I don't think it's going to be anything spectacular. The contract is good. I don't think it's an overpay at all. It's a 1-year deal. It's under $1 million. You're not risking everything you have on this guy. And again, Georgiev's a solid goaltender. While he didn't have the best run, I mean, look at him in Colorado. While it wasn't great, was he the worst they've ever had? No. Not by far. So, you know what? I like this Georgiev deal. I'm very happy for him. I loved him as a Ranger. I think he was an excellent backup. I think he learned a lot from the veterans. He learned a lot being a team player. He learned what it looked like to sit on the bench every game. He understands what it's like to go out there when the team needs you, regardless if you're day to start or not, or if an injury happens. He took that role and ran with it. And I don't think he's a bad goaltender at all. I think he's just had a tough break. I don't think that has anything to do with him on a personal level or his game, because I've seen him play well. Again, as a Rangers fan, you're playing on one of the biggest stages in the world at Madison Square Garden, one of the world's most, what do they call it? The world's most famous arena, for a very valid reason.
It is.
And at the end of the day, Georgiev is going to be fine wherever he goes. I believe in him. I don't think he's a terrible goalie. I think he's just had a couple of tough breaks, and he's moved around a lot, and he hasn't really had a chance to establish himself anywhere before he gets kicked out the door. So, again, if he establishes himself over there at Buffalo, I could see them giving him a decent contract, and he'll be there for a while. And he's back with someone he knows from his days with the Rangers. Lindy Rupp. So he plays under Lindy Rupp. He's played under him before. He knows his game. He knows the way he likes to build Rupp. So again, he's with someone he's comfortable with. This could be good for him. So I don't see this being a bad thing for Buffalo.
No, I think it's a move made, though, Jen, for him to get his confidence back. I think, though, when you play for a club like he did to start the year with the Sharks, again, young team, not really going anywhere, you're going to see a lot of rubber flying your way because of the inexperience, though. And again, a lot of rubber was sent his way. And in a way, probably he kind of lost his traction or lost his confidence because, man, I've got no defensive help. I'm kind of trying to keep the team in these games when they go sideways, 7-0, 10-0, as they had a couple of those games over the past couple of years, though. So I look at it more of it being a thing to get his confidence back and going to in a way, going to New York, going to Buffalo, obviously. But again, familiarity, though, with Lindy Ruff will probably, hopefully, go a long way for him. Jen, how about Marc-Andre Fleury, though, going back to the Penguins for one final game before he does officially retire? I love it.
I love it. I've said it on shows before, and I will call myself out for it. Stop calling the man. Let him be. Let him retire, man. He's got kids. But no, I think he's going to retire a Penguin. This is it for him. I believe it's only for the one preseason game.
Yes.
I don't think he's not there for the full season. They're not replacing any of their goalies they have. This is more just to let him have his last hurrah as a Pittsburgh Penguin before he officially hangs it up and probably gets in the Hall of Fame at some point down the line. And he'll probably most likely be fully remembered as a Penguin. Rather than any other teams he was with. I love this. Penguins, well done. Well done. That was hilarious. I love that he's back. I love how good he looks. He looks so happy. So, I mean, good for him for going back home where it started and wanting to play there for one more game and giving the fans something to adore. Even if it's a preseason game, because of him, they're going to sell that game out. I guarantee it.
1,000%. And I hope that game, too, is in... I'm sure it'll be at PPG Paints Arena because, I mean, that would be appropriate to have him there with the Penguins playing one last game. Jen, kind of going off the ice here, some business and team news. Let's start, though, with Florida Panthers captain and two-time Cup champion Alexander Barkov becoming a co-owner of a Major League Pickleball franchise, the Palm Beach Royals of the MLP, marking the first known venture of a hockey player into team ownership outside of the league. Obviously, Jen, athletes investing money in sports is now kind of like the new hot thing. Thoughts about Alexander's move into ownership of pro pickleball, but also about the growth, though, of how pickleball's kind of taken off, though, since COVID has hit, though, 5 years ago.
I mean, I think this is A, hilarious, and B, good for him, because I believe he did say in an interview somewhere, I can't find it right now, but we'll get to it eventually. He did say he wanted to go be a professional pickleball player when he retires, or golf or something. So good for him for being an owner. I guess he's going to make a lot of money off that, so I'm assuming that's going to be his retirement fund. So
there you go.
Enjoy that, honestly. As long as it doesn't affect his game on the ice, I really don't care what he does off the ice. So good for him. I think it's hilarious, and good, honestly, good on him for actually wanting to be productive off the ice as well. So good for him.
Yeah, that's huge, and I think it kind of in a way goes to like where the trends now are in professional sports when it comes to guys now being smarter with their money, investing in something, whether it's a scholarship fund, whether it is professional sports, college athletics now in a way. This is kind of cool though, because I think it's the first known commodity of a hockey player, not named LeBron James, for example, in the NBA, who already has ownership with the Family Sports Group and the Penguins and other ventures, though. But I think first known NHL player I can recall who actually, not named Mario Lemieux, for example, who actually has his money into the product. So I'm all for this. Jen, in the minor league ranks in the East Coast Hockey League in the ECHL, this is kind of a stunner, but the Utah Grizzlies, longtime members of the East Coast Hockey League and the IHL, have announced their intentions to relocate out of Salt Lake City to Trenton, New Jersey after the upcoming season concludes. The team, which has been in Utah for 30 years, will become the new Trenton Thunder, returning pro hockey back to Trenton, New Jersey for the first time in 12 years since 2013. Jim, this actually is a pretty big move for a minor league franchise. Again, the Grizzlies were a one-time affiliate of the Gulls here in San Diego when we first came into play 10 years ago. With the Anaheim Ducks, they became the Colorado Avalanche and Eagles affiliate after the Ducks took up their East Coast affiliate with the Tulsa Oilers. There's some new teams coming in Greensboro, in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, and I think a new team coming into in Augusta, Georgia. So this now kind of in a way, Jen, kind of throws a little bit of the East Coast geography for this league kind of up in the air, though, because now you've got one team leaving that already had a deal with the Avalanche. There's been rumblings about what the AHL might do concerning the Tucson Roadrunners, because obviously the Coyotes no longer exist in Arizona. They're now in Utah as the Mammoth. But Jen, what do you believe, though, it means for the East Coast Hockey League to bring a club back to a major, market for their league, though, like Trenton, New Jersey, in your opinion?
You know what? This is not completely shocking, but at the same time, I really want to know where they're going to play, because if they're going to play a Prudential Center that's over there.
No, they are going to play their games. Give me like 10 seconds, maybe. Yep. They will be playing at the Cure Insurance Arena, which is in downtown Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay, so they're a little bit further. Okay, that's fine. I was about to say.
Yeah, the
concerts, hockey, basketball, and whatever else.
The arena holds 7,000 people for a hockey game. It's also operated by the Oakview Group, who also has stake in the Seattle Kraken and the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Tenants include the former Trenton Titans or Devils of the East Coast League from 99 till 2013. They have had basketball. They have had indoor professional football. They have had numerous indoor football leagues. They have had lacrosse. They have had junior hockey there. They've had indoor football there. So the Cure Insurance Arena, which is located in Trenton, it is located along State Route 129.
Okay, so they're a bit further away. Okay,
yes.
That's not the worst thing then. That's fine. I mean, again, I'm not super into the minor league system. I don't really know the teams as well. I don't really understand the whole thing. But, I mean, I guess if it works out better for them and they're happier there and things seem to be taking off for them there, go for it. I mean, I'm all for it. Again, more East Coast teams, more revenue for the East Coast guys.
I think it's just more not perplexing, but just interesting that a franchise who has had a 30-year run in their market and already had a geographic alignment or geographic affiliate with the Avalanche and Eagles already kind of made sense. Now moving them though from Utah, I don't know now if this sometimes happens, Sally Jen, though, where a bigger league, NHL, comes to town. Sorry to the minor league franchise, but you're going to have to get up and get out of here. And I saw this firsthand, for example, in soccer, when Major League Soccer said we're going to go to San Diego effective May 18th, 2020, May 18th of 2023 or 2024, I should say. And we already had a established developmental team for the pros already in town. They're going to obviously pick the bigger fish in the pond, literally and figuratively, than the guppy puppies of the ocean. Where and that's what I hope and that's what I hope, though, Jen, didn't happen with now that the Mammoths have their branding. Now they're going to be taking over Salt Lake City hockey. That you hope that wasn't the case with the Grizzlies, that they were in a way sold off to a new owner to move them out of the city. Again, that's just kind of in a way for me is like, what happens now? Again, I've heard some spattering of talks about what might happen in the American Hockey League with the Tucson Roadrunners, because their affiliate is no longer in Arizona. They're now in Salt Lake City. So, I mean, Trenton, I know those had a great hockey history, with where they've been with with the Titans or the Devils at one point, but now do we have more moving of the puzzle pieces when it comes to other franchises that are already in the league? Where do other contracts now get voided, or do contracts now get moved around? Again, the Trenton, by the way, has had a club in some way, shape, form, or size since 1997 or 99, I should say. And the club initially ceased operations in 2013. They also moved, by the way, out of Trenton to Stockton, California, that eventually moved back at a later time and date. And they've always had some kind of Devils affiliation at one point in time. And again, and also, Jen, the East Coast League is not as I don't think they're as not active with that. Teams don't really have to have a working deal with the East Coast club, though, but an AHL club is a necessity. So that's kind of more I'm like I've seen this happen so many times, though, when it's come to markets like Utah losing a franchise like this in some way. But it's a tough day, though, when that news did come out, though. Again, 30 years, though, for the Grizzlies. Again, they were a long-time affiliate, though, for us here in San Diego. Tough to see that market be moved out of town. Jen, back to the closet and the wardrobe department. As we said a little bit, though, about the Capitals with their new Screaming Eagle jersey, but a very cool collab came out, though, with them in the Washington Nationals that was worked on for the 20th anniversary of the Nationals coming from Montreal, which featured elements of both clubs on the respective jersey. While also, Jen, the Blue Jackets unveiled their 25th anniversary logo with a brand new center ice logo, and also adding silver back to their color palette as well at this stage. So, Jen, what do you like better at this one? Do you like the new design of the Nationals and the Capitals collaboration, the old Screaming Eagle logo back now in red, white, and blue, or is it the Blue Jackets and their 25th anniversary logo?
I kind of like all of them, I'm not gonna lie. I think they're kind of cool. I think the Eagle one, obviously Washington, with the Eagle and the Capital, like I get the whole idea of it. I like it. Keep it within this. I like it. I'm actually taking a look at. I'm gonna put it on screen here in just a couple minutes. I'm gonna send it over to myself. I really like the Screaming Eagle jersey I'm looking at. It is really cool. It looks really nice. Again, I like the idea of it. I like the signifying number of it. And then we go about the Red Wings as well. I'm gonna bring that up on camera in just a minute.
That's a good one too.
But I'll bring up the Capitals one first. Just give me a second. I'm bringing up the pictures I found. So 1 second. I did not have that ready. Which is my own fault.
Yeah, this is, by the way, like a really cool, like, hark back to the past, but add elements of the current logo too, which is amazing to see.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up the Capitals one in just a second. I'm getting it set up. One moment as I get this ready. All right, so there's the Capitals one with the Nationals.
I love
That's
it.
what it's gonna look like.
That's a good one.
The only good picture I could find of it, they had videos, but I didn't want to screenshot a video because sometimes the quality like kind of loses itself. So I like it. I think it's really cool. I like paying homage to it, and I like the Capitals kept their own color scheme as well, which is really cool. I think this is probably one of the better ones I like at the Capitals right now. I think it's something different and unique, and I actually really like it.
I do too. It's a cool collaboration, and also I love a good crossover jersey. So this is really cool they did that.
All right, and here is the other one.
The Screaming Eagle has landed. That's a great line for them to share that on Instagram today.
And that's kind of what the front crest is going to look like. I don't love the bands on the arm with the color scheme. I feel like the blue is a little darker than what's on the actual eagle itself.
Could be a lighting thing too.
Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of that, but I do like the center logo very much so. I think it keeps right on theme with everything going on with the Capitals, so I'm about it. I like the unique way the jerseys are turning right now, with all the teams getting centennial jerseys and all the stuff that's coming out. I actually think the league is finally going in the right direction with jerseys. I think we're kind of getting some unique perspectives, and I actually really like it. I love jersey talk. I can sit here and talk to you about jerseys all day long. Speaking of Kellen, I'm going to tell you a really funny thing. I actually didn't get to tell you because I don't know if you were there when I said it to Nick. My school's having a jersey day tomorrow for Spirit Week, so I think I'm going to either wear my Rangers or my Mets jersey to school tomorrow.
Oh, goodness. I love it. I always love school jersey spirit day. That was one of my favorites.
And then, as I said, I have the Red Wings jersey. So
yeah, they finally got something right in Hockey Town. About damn time.
So there's the front crest of what it's going to look like, which I think is really cool. It kind of looks like old like newspaper colored, like when it like got like kind of messed up, like it kind of looked like a gold kind of color.
Yes.
I like the gloves. I think they're a little, again, I think the lighting does them a disservice. But I like the whole look of it. I believe that's Alex DeBrincat who's in that picture for the Red Wings. So I love the front crest. I think it's awesome looking. I also have again, here's kind of a more close-up of the Red Wings logo, which is, again, it's just really cool. I like how it kind of looks shiny a little bit too, like a sparkly type thing, which I think is really cool.
It's simple. It's simple. Right. It's as simple as this, that it's about time that the Red Wings actually did a jersey right for a change, and they finally did.
And then I have the armband and the C on the jersey is what they're going to look like.
I like the retro-inspired captaincy patch on the front. That's really cool.
I do too. I like the Detroit, like, almost looks like something, again, out of, like, a newspaper article way back when.
Yeah, that's it. It's the in honor of the original Detroit Cougars, which is what their name was back in 1926.
I like it. I think it's really cool looking. And then here is another look at some of the patches that are going to be on there.
Established 1926, the 100th anniversary logo, then all the years of the Stanley Cup winning teams on the back collar of the uniform.
Yeah, so this is awesome. This is super cool. There's the years they won, so there it is down there for you people who are looking for that. It's there, I promise. Khaled, this is a W. This is really good looking. I love this. So I think we're gonna get a Rangers drop either tomorrow or Thursday. So you guys can bet I will be doing a short video on that because, again, I could sit here all day and talk about jerseys if you can let me.
Yeah, I think it's just about time that the Red Wings actually did a jersey right and actually put some effort into it because, Jen, a couple of the last times they've done alternate jerseys, they have been garbage.
Yeah, this one's really cool. They finally got it right. So
they got this one right, though, without a doubt.
Red Wings and the Red Wings organization for that.
Yeah, so big ups there, and I'm sure we'll have more. Like Jen said, hoping the Rangers. We're hoping for Lady Liberty. We're hoping for the old school early day Shield, hopefully. We'll see what the Rangers choose to do for their 100th anniversary uniform sometime soon. Jen, one more player topic here for the day. is we talked about Quinn Hughes actually last week in a way with Neil from Double State of Mind. But Quinn Hughes has also addressed some trade rumors at a media tour event as well, stating he would love to play with his brother Jack at some point, but that he loves the Canucks and he feels he has to make up for last year's failure of a season. So, Jen, it seems that the narrative around these two, it seems that the narrative around him and Sidney Crosby is shifting. What do you believe, though, is mainly going on with the Quinn Hughes ordeal, and what does it mean for the Canucks going forward? Again, I think that last year was kind of like almost like a anomaly. It felt like because there was so much bad publicity, though, out of that locker room. You know, JT Miller being a head case, him and Elias Pettersson not getting along, and so much friction in that locker room. And then sadly, it cost Rick Tocchet his job in Vancouver. Uh, I think though, Jen, I like though how Quinn's going about it though. Like, yeah, I would love to play with Jack, but I need to also make up for my bad season in Vancouver, and I owe it to the fan base for next season.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I absolutely agree with him. I think he really took the high road here. Obviously, everyone's going to bother them because all their contracts are coming up. They're all, getting, long term deals like Jack and, Luke's up for a contract and Quinn's coming up on a new contract. So I understand the question of it. I get it. Like, they were going to be asked their brothers. They're going to get that. It's kind of like a little bit of sibling rivalry type thing.
Of
And I love
course.
how the boys go about it. But I don't think Quinn's going anywhere. As Neil said it best, you would have to find a way to get Quinn there and give him a ton of money, and it's just not worth it to the Devils right now in the position. They don't really know what the outcome of their season's going to look like. So I don't think Quinn goes anywhere for a couple years at least. Do I think he's going to have a really, really, really good season now that things have died down? They have a new coach. They got rid of JT Miller, who's now on my Rangers, who's doing really well here. Do I think everything kind of worked out the way it should have? Yes. And I think Quinn goes off and has a great season. I don't see him leaving Vancouver anytime soon unless another freak incident like this happens, but I don't think there's going to be an issue. I think JT Miller was a little bit of a cancer. I think JT Miller had said he wanted out of there and they didn't give it to him. So I think he threw a stink in order to try to get himself out of there, and it worked. So good on him, I guess. Good on Quinn for taking the high road and being a leader and, accepting that last season was a bust, but realizing you have to move forward. You can't dwell on it. You got to just go forward and just make up for it and have a good season this year and just kind of leave the past in the past and let it be. And I think Quinn took a very mature high road for that one. So a credit to him for that, because that's, for him being as young as he is, he's got some maturity to him. So good on Quinn for that.
Yeah, that's usually tough to do, to take the high road, especially when you're young, coming into the league, kind of guns a blazing and things of that caliber. But yeah, I wouldn't put much stock in it right now. I think that he said I would love to play with Jack, but right now I got to focus on myself, not worry about what they're doing. And in a way, we got to be better in Vancouver. I can't worry about my future right now. My team needs me to play better, and I owe it to the fan base to play better and to the organization. So definitely get where he's coming from, though, and that takes. I think, Jen, it takes a lot for a player to say that after they had such a bad year, and they don't deflect the attention, saying, "Yeah, it's whatever."
Exactly. Yeah. No. Good on Quinn for that. I think Vancouver's gonna have a good year. New coach, some new players. They calm things down. Things seem to be better from last season. So I don't think this is going to be a big problem. I think Quinn took the correct stance, and I think people finally will let it go after a certain degree. So I don't think this is a big deal either.
Yeah, I don't think so either. With that, Jen, in mind, though, obviously the other big news, though, involving the game, though, obviously involves the follow-up to the Hockey Canada trial update that we wanted to pass along. We can confirm officially in wake of the acquittal of the 5 players, but all 5 players who were acquitted in the 2018 Hockey Canada sexual assault trial, including former Flyers goaltender Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, Dylan Dubé, Cal Foote, and Alex Fermenton, have officially been suspended by the NHL until December the 1st of this year, but can sign a contract a month from today on October 15th of this year, though, but will not be able to play until after December the 1st.
The team, I believe, in sometime in November, late November.
They just cannot play until December the 1st in wake of the announcement. Obviously, Jen, I don't know if there was a right or wrong way for the league to handle this. Obviously, the 5 players were found innocent and, acquitted of the charges that were thrown their way. We know that the case was very much, was very sleazy. It dragged on for, I think, months, up until maybe a year, maybe 2 years long, but it really took a long time to sort it all out. Obviously, Jim, this has been met with, blowback. It's been met by, a second chance. It's been met with so much, back and forth on both sides of this, aisle when it comes to it, though. Jen, at the end of the day, though, as you said, though, this is a country that is guilty until proven innocent now, no longer innocent until you're proven guilty. That we are so quick now to put people away, lock them up, and not actually prove they're innocent until it's actually a guilty verdict. Now, obviously, now again, this was a very much, Jen, a very much hot commodity talking point in the hockey community about what was going to happen. Obviously, this was a case where the judge was judge, jury, executioner. There was no jury. They were thrown out for I believe for witness tampering. The defendant in the case kept changing her story about what actually happened. Eventually, at the end of the day, though, the justice ruled in favor of the five players being acquitted. Obviously, that still, though, means, in my opinion, though, that even then, the accuser still should be heard from in some way, shape, form, or size. But I, Jen, don't know how the league could have handled this, though, the right way about, hey, you can never come back to the sport, even though that you were acquitted. I think that the league found it. I think, Jen, the league found a pretty decent, happy go medium. Hey, you're suspended for the first 2 months of the year. You're allowed to sign. You can practice, but you cannot play in a game until after December the 1st, though. So I guess, Jen, major development, though, but what does the NHL's decision to suspend these players until December mean for their careers, though, but also team rosters? Where I think, though, Jen, sadly, I think a lot of these guys probably don't have much of a reputation anymore because they were even involved in this case and they weren't even found guilty of any charges.
You nailed it. I couldn't have said it better myself. Their reputations are fried. Like I forget who it was. Someone quit hockey and went to go. Like they announced a retirement during the trial time, basically saying they've hung up their hockey career. They're done. They're never playing again, and basically went to go work construction or some shit for a while.
Yeah.
And okay, I need to not lose my cap over this because this is a big problem for me. The girl who did this to them, I'm sorry, you're sick. You just cost these 5 men not only a career, but their livelihood, the respect from a player standpoint with the fans, and then you lied on trial and basically admitted you don't know what happened. You were drunk, you weren't drunk, nothing happened. She kept changing her story, and basically none of her evidence was really adding up or making sense. And basically, these guys got thrown under the bus for something that may not have even happened. Again, there's not really evidence to prove this case. So again, the fact that they were even accused without there being real evidence is a bit of a load of you-know-what. And at the end of the day, I really hope, especially Carter Hart, who wants to come back and play, he said it. He's said from time to time when he's asked, he's remained stands on being innocent. He said he had nothing to do with it. He was accused of this. There's no evidence to prove him guilty at any point in time. You ruined his career pretty much over a possible rumor that we don't even know is true. I feel horrible for these guys. I really hope they can come back and play well and they can re-earn the respect of the fans, their teammates, everything that goes into the game. And are they even in game shape? Are they going to be in? Have they been working out? There's so many what ifs about this case, Alan. Honestly, it makes me a little sick to think about that this has become an epidemic. I mean, we're going to talk about another story, and I want to bring it up because it's bothering me with Arthur Kaliev right now and a girl that he dated. Apparently, he scammed her out of $50,000 or something. Again, there's zero evidence to prove this.
I'm going to be careful with what I say, but I'm going to say it anyway, Jim. I would hate for this to become a Trevor Bauer situation where these guys become blackballed. They don't have a chance in hell to come back to the league. They could become longtime journeyman AHL guys, East Coast guys that are going to go play overseas somewhere where they can actually have a chance to play the game that they love. Now, obviously, we've heard about Carter Hart being rumbled or in rumor mills about going back to Philadelphia. Jen, you're so right, though, because what if this does become a Trevor Bauer situation where, and I only say Trevor Bauer's name, Jen, because I knew one of the people involved with one of the situations in San Diego. And that's all I'll say about it, is that I knew someone involved with the situation, and she obviously has moved on to a new life in Tennessee, and she's no longer living here. That's all I can say about it, and that's all I will say about it. But you don't want something like this situation to now come into hockey, where now we have 5 players who may never get that reputation back again. Who knows, Jen, if they go to an away game, and what if they get booed all night, for example, just because they were allegedly involved in a situation like this. Now, obviously, Trevor Bauer's a bit of a different thing, though. He's a different animal right now. He's over in Japan. But regardless, Carter Hart, probably back to Philadelphia. But again, look at where he was, though, before this whole thing came out, though. He was like the savior, it felt like, for the Flyer franchise in goal. Probably the best thing going for them in goal since either since Garth Snow back in the day, or some other big name goalies like Bernie Parent way back in the day when they were winning back-to-back cups in the 70s. Dylan Dubé, for example, I remember him being a up-and-coming prospect with the Calgary Flames organization. And, he, in a way, was like also kind of becoming like, a new top 6 forward for the Flames. Cal Foote has the same first name as me. His dad is now the head coach, I believe, of the Vancouver Canucks. And he is a multiple-time Cup champion, best known for his time with the Avalanche in the early 2000s. And then I think Alex Fermenton was playing overseas at the time of the trial. Regardless, though, Jen, this was probably the only way that the NHL could go about this the right way and not have some kind of major blowback regarding, hey, you guys can sign, next month, but you can't play a game until December the 1st. Where it's like, in a way, some very weird justice is served for what they did in some way. But I just think that the worst outcome, though, Jen, would be that these guys become like Trevor Bauer, where they're blackballed, they're blackmailed, and they're kicked out of the league in some way and told, you got to go play in the East Coast League, play in the American League, or go play overseas, and we don't want to ever see your face ever again in a NHL jersey. I really hate to say that, but that's kind of where I think that this could have gone. I'm glad it didn't, though, but who's not to say, though, it eventually goes down that rabbit hole in the next couple of months, or for that matter, next year.
Yeah, exactly. I think you and I, in certain respects to this situation, agree to disagree on certain things. But that's all I'll say about that. I won't get into that on camera because I could be here all night arguing with you about it, and I'm not going to. So you also have a reputation you have to uphold, and I respect that, and I will not get any further into that.
So again, we'll see what comes out of this. Though again, we've heard some rumblings of Carter Hart maybe back to the Flyers, but again, who knows about the other 4 players? Again, really, it's just been kind of been Carter Hart's name kind of thrown around, though, about perhaps being back in the league once the severance period / suspension period does conclude sometime in the next couple of months. But we'll keep an eye on how that story does kind of, in a way, go from there. Also, Jen, and some very interesting other off-the-ice issues involving the NHL. But in Washington, the Capitals have seen assistant coach Mitch Love placed on team-imposed leave pending a league investigation. Jen, we don't know the full scope of this, though, but I've been kind of hearing the word that starts and ends in the letter G. Not good.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what the situation is. The Capitals did make a statement, though, and they basically said they are fully compliant with the NHL and pending their investigation, and they will not be commenting further on the situation at play right now. We don't know what the situation fully is. We can assume certain things, but again, we can't say for sure because we don't really have full evidence of this. But at the same time, if it is what we're all thinking it is, why is this still happening?
Yep.
Again, hi, Quinville 2.0. This is ridiculous. This has got to end. But Kellen, I don't know what else to say about this. We don't really have a whole lot to go on. But at the same time,
the only details I can give per a league source is that a letter that they received detailed allegations relating to Love's personal conduct while going through the interview phase for a head coaching position this offseason. Two of the teams with whom he reportedly interviewed with were sent a similar letter with the allegations predate his time with the Capitals. The league has conducted its investigations over multiple months. The Capitals have placed him on leave after the league informed them about the allegations. With the Capitals opening up their training camp this week, team said it will refrain from further comment until the investigation is complete. Love was previously an assistant coach with the Everett Silvertips of the WHL, and also in Saskatoon as well with the Blades. He was also the head coach of the Stockton Heat and Calgary Wranglers before joining the Capitals staff in Washington. So maybe not gambling, Jen, which is what I was leading to, but sounds like, though, just maybe some bad personal conduct being shown in the course of those meetings.
Not good. I mean, either way, this is not good. This is a bad look for the Capitals. Glad they are fully cooperating with the NHL investigation. They're not getting in the way. They're allowing the NHL to do what it does, and they're not further commenting on anything going on within the organization until things are settled. I don't blame them. This is a bad look overall. They're probably trying to sweep this under the rug, if anything. So I'm assuming whenever the heck this investigation gets done, we'll know a little bit more. I don't think we'll ever know everything.
Correct.
But will we know a little bit more, have it make a little bit more sense? I guarantee that. So when we have further updates to the case, we will update. But until then, there's really not much else we could say.
Yeah, other than the fact that per ESPN's Greg Wischissen that the league was given a letter regarding personal conduct from Mitch Love during the course of the interview process for a couple of coaching positions is all we really can bank on right now. And the two teams who interviewed him were sent a similar letter in question, basically, about the notice, hey, that there is an investigation into this candidate for what, again, perhaps had gone on in some interview circles for a potential job interview. Jen, we'll get out of here before the 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock time frame. But, Jen, this is a very, I think, interesting question at the final horn, though. Which player's contract situation has you the most intrigued? Connor Bedard in Chicago, Kirill Kaprizov in Minnesota, or unsigned free agents like Mason McTavish in Anaheim, or is it somebody else at this stage of where we're at with camp opening up here today?
Again, I'm going to go back to something that you and I have talked about week in, week out for every week in the first, I think 8 or 9 episodes of this show, if not further more than that. Connor McDavid, obviously, is going to be the center of attention as
absolutely.
As you and I joked about during one of our episodes, every time the Oilers lose, it's, where's Connor McDavid going to go? What's going to happen with Connor McDavid? Everything's going to be Connor McDavid this season. I think Christian, when he was here a couple weeks back, did make a very valid point about he thinks they're closer than what they are to a finished deal rather than a deal that's not completely done. While I do agree, I also think they're waiting out for the salary cap to go up. I think there's some other moves being made behind the scenes maybe that we just don't know about yet. But overall, I think this is really going to be more the Connor McDavid show again. I think it's going to be, what is Connor McDavid going to do? Is he going to go somewhere else? Is he staying with the Oilers? Is the Oilers going to go for a cup? Are they finally going to get it? Are they going to bring the cup home to Canada? I think right now, as of everything else, this is the bigger story, just, again, because he's the biggest name in the NHL as of right now. I think the Quinn Hughes thing has some possible momentum to it, but I think it's enough where he's going to end up going anywhere. No, I don't. I think same with Luke. I think Luke is not going to go anywhere. Quinn's not going anywhere. I think Mason McTavish is going to resign at some point. I think, again, everyone's kind of waiting for the cap to go up. I think they're just kind of waiting and trying to move contracts and do some gymnastics in the financial category, as they all need some money. So they're all working on stuff. But I don't think anything really is going to come of most things. Again, as we spoke about earlier, the Kirill Kaprizov situation is happening. I don't think it's a slap in the face. I think it's just, again, everyone's waiting out some financial help from the cap going up.
By the way, per Puckpedia, Jen, the Florida spending this year is $70.6 million for the cap this year. All 32 clubs are in compliance with that. The Ducks are at the bottom at $74 million, but all the teams are in compliant with the floor. But as I read off though earlier, both VGK and Florida are over the cap by about $4.5 to $7.6 million. The Rangers do not have much left, as I said. They got $778,000. For those who are wondering, by the way, the limit for the cap, $95.5 million this season. So that's going to be going up by a pretty good chunk next season, which is good. So everyone is in compliance with the floor, and also two teams are over the salary cap by about $4 to $7 million. I agree, Jim, that it's not really hard to say, well, we're going to be worried about Bedard or about McDavid, I should say. Though Bedard could be kind of a sidebar if the Blackhawks continue to have another dismal season, which I think it would just be wrong, I think, for them not to try to re-sign him, like already once the contract does conclude, when the ELC does run out. I mean, I again, like I said though earlier, like I kind of get why we're kind of in this boat about McDavid and Bedard. But again, Bedard is in a much difficult set of, he has a much more difficult set of circumstances than McDavid does right now in Edmonton. Kaprizov, I think that deal gets done though. Someone else, again, McTavish, that's going to get done like hopefully soon. That's all I'll say about the matter at hand. But I've heard it's close. They're just working on money and years and all that sort of things. Though I think though more importantly, Jen, I think I would probably have to go back maybe to Crosby. If the year is bad for the Penguins, could there perhaps be a Brad Marchand style trade made at the 11th hour of this year's deadline? For all that we know, who knows?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, do I really think in reality Sidney Crosby's going to leave the Penguins? No.
No, same. I don't think so either.
Possibility that if things go south, he does choose to want to walk on a personal note and go get a cup. I would not blame him if that situation were to reveal itself in due time. But as of right now, do I see him leaving? Absolutely not. I think there's always a thought in your mind, if your team is doing bad, you want to go somewhere else and get a cup. But do I think in reality that's actually going to do anything and it's going to change it? No, I don't.
I mean, more important.
I think it's fair enough to say that if things keep going south, there's a possibility. I think that's fair enough to say.
And Jen, to reiterate your point from earlier, I mean, if someone does acquire him, who the hell has the cap to even get a guy like Crosby or just get Crosby in general because of the hit on the salary cap?
Exactly. No one really has the money. Maybe the Sabres, because they haven't really done shit with their money. So, but
I mean, Anaheim's down there. Anaheim's down there too.
So, just a couple of side notes here. 1 second.
Fantasy draft next Monday. Let's go.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to everything. Calvin DeHaan signed a 1-year deal in the Swedish Hockey League. No one gives a shit. The guy's a fucking nobody. He was on the Rangers for a year, did absolutely nothing, was an absolute waste of space. So there's that. The one update to the CBA we did not talk about, and we're gonna do it briefly now. The CBA with the Alumni Association's Retired Players Emergency Healthcare and Wellness Fund.
Finally.
We love
Long
this.
overdue.
This is good. We love this. This did good. They did something good for a change. Unlike some other sports. Get a grip, other sports.
Throw the parade, baby. Throw the parade.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Jack Parker being inducted to the Hall of Fame in Toronto. I think we mentioned it a little bit last week.
I think we mentioned it, last week, I want to say. I might be wrong on that.
There's that. Again, what else did I have in here that we didn't get to? Ivan Fedorov traded to the Blue Jackets for a 6th-round pick. This is pretty much a minor trade.
Yeah, minor trade. I think it gives Philly or Columbus some goaltending depth, I want to say.
On the other thing we didn't get to, Spencer Knight signed a 3-year, $5.83 million AAV contract with the Blackhawks.
I hope he gets his confidence back, too. Much like Georgiev. I think Spencer had a lot of, not a lot of pressure, but certainly was the hot guy. Hey, Team USA starting goalie for a couple of world championships. Had a lot of promise, a lot of flair for the dramatic. And now you hope that he can kind of, in a way, be a piece that can help the Chicago team get back on their feet and start playing better in Chicago, because those fans deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a good contract extension. I don't think this is an overpay at all.
Not at all.
This is a pretty fair contract. It's about we're gonna look at it every year. It's a little over less than $6 million for 3 years. So
Not
it's
bad.
like around 17 total for 3 years. It's not that bad.
$5.8 million cap hit.
Yeah, so that's not really that bad. They have a ton of money too because they haven't really done a whole lot. So
Yeah. So
they're
it so
really
the
hell.
so per Puckpedia, 3-year deal worth 17.5 million, round up to 17.5. Cap hit of 5.8 million every year. He'll be an RFA a UFA after his age 28 season.
Okay, so they're locking him up to 3 year while he's in his prime. Okay, I'm okay with this.
And apparently too, it comes with so in 28-29 though, Jen, it comes with a modified no trade clause.
Ooh, that could possibly be a problem. But again, let's not jump to conclusions just yet.
Yeah, it's a modified, so I think it's like a 10-team list. I want to say,
10 or
not a
15.
full 32, like maybe 10 or 12 team modified.
Yeah, I think it's 10 or 15 actually. So depending on what the stipulations in their contracts are, I believe.
Yeah, let me double check that just to make sure I got that right. Modified no trade. Yeah, let's see. This allows so the modified no trade clause allows for negotiation where a team can still trade the player, but only to a team the player has previously indicated that they would accept, or away from a team they have on their no trade list. Players must meet a certain criteria, including at least being 27 or 7 years in the league to be eligible for these clauses. There we go.
Okay, so yeah.
So they will submit a list of teams about who they don't want to go to, which makes sense. That was
like the Jacob Trouba thing. So
yes,
same thing. Okay, that's not really that big of a
deal. Didn't Kreider have to waive a trade clause to come to Anaheim?
Same situation.
Yep. Anywho,
okay. Let's backtrack. We're backtracking to the beginning of the episode. Fantasy draft next week. It's taking the spot of Puck Duck for 1 week. This is not a week thing. This is a 1 week. We will be back September 29th, 6 p.m. back here with our normal show. So don't panic that our show is going away. It's not. It's a 1 week thing. We'll have updates to it once the season gets started. We'll have more updates for you. But this is just the draft. This is not a whole thing. Our show's not going on anything. We're not getting the boot from the network. I promise you we're back the following week with another episode. We've already been cleared. So we're good. Also, next time I will be a year older, Callan, when we walk away from this show.
Correct.
So happy birthday to me early, I guess. But anyway, what else did we want to say? Can we announce the other thing, or should we wait to get clearance from a certain somebody?
I mean, I'm all for it.
Do you want to go ahead? I'll let you take the floor.
What was it again? I don't even remember. It's Monday. God dang it.
The thing that we have possibly coming up.
Oh, I think we're going to have to probably wait for clearance on that one.
Okay, so yeah, we'll wait on that.
Trust us, though, folks. It's very exciting, and we all think you're going to enjoy it. Well, we'll keep it at that, though, but it is a very much, I think, Jen, a very much, I don't want to say like long overdue, but it feels like it's long overdue that this is finally coming to fruition because we've been kind of talking about this during watch parties and during shows about potential outlets to, monetize the channel and make some revenue. But more to come about that when we actually get the author to do so.
Yeah, that'll probably be not next week when we have our draft, probably the following week. Unless he lets us announce during that, which would be cool. But again, we'll see on that. A couple other housekeeping things. So September 29th, we'll have a show. And it'll be still off-season mode for 1 more week.
Yep. So I believe by October the 4th.
And then the following show after that, October 6th will be our
October
next show.
6th will be the launch of our regular season format, yes.
So very excited for that. Cal and I have been working very hard behind the scenes, coming up with topics, ideas for different things. Social media will be taking a different approach. We'll be trying some new things. You'll see some new stuff from us. Do not panic. Some of our content, like me doing the ranking videos, will still be there. The breaking news video will still be there. Callan will go back to doing this day in, and we'll do a history thing. We're doing that. Updates for shows will still be
And
there.
the other thing, too, that we can't announce yet.
Yeah, and the other thing, yeah, that'll be there as well. Hockey fantasy updates will also be there as well as on the show when we have time. So check back for that.
And by the way, we will be updating the standings on our social platforms to show how awful I am at fantasy hockey, and I'm at the bottom of the standings, and I'm in 10th place. So all that's coming too on the Puck Talk ETB social accounts as well. So
And don't
be on the
worry,
lookout.
Hal and I will be battling it out, and I swear I might burn him down. But anyway,
Yes, it's probably going to happen, knowing my luck. So it is
so
what
we're
it
very
is.
much looking forward to that. Seriously, thank you for all the views we've been getting because our videos have been going absolutely nuts. We are working on Jackie Redmond still. She's very busy. We have been trying to get her. It's still in the works. It's going to happen at some point down the line, folks. I promise it's happening. I have a lot of guests in the works. We might be having a couple of network people join us eventually. Again, you'll see some familiar faces next week as well when we do the draft. Yeah, hockey's back, folks. That's the one thing I think Hal and I are both most
That's
excited.
all that matters, baby.
There might be a few weeks where I'm gone because I'm actually doing Ranger stuff. Like I'm actually going to games when I have
And
some
probably
time off
times
from
where I'll
work.
be gone too, going to Anaheim as well for
We
games
do have
too.
a couple of fill-ins that are going to be possibly helping us along the way. So you'll see some new faces. You might see some familiar faces. You'll have to wait and see. I'm working very hard behind the scenes to make things happen. So Puck Talk is getting a new approach as well. There's going to be a lot more content. We finally worked things out. We can admit that.
Yeah, we got a lot of good things coming. As soon as we get the all clear to okay, announce it.
So starting October 6th, our show that Monday will be official season mode. We will be in form for regular season. It's going to look very different than what we're doing now, how laid back the show is. That's no longer going to be a thing. We're going to be very busy in the next couple of months.
We will be, yes.
Other than that, tomorrow, press row. Is it tomorrow?
No, regular show's Wednesday.
Wednesday from
Wednesday afternoon
Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern. And then I don't know if I can announce it yet. Are you guys good with it or no? Or should we wait?
We need to wait, I think, still.
All right. I think
there's so much happening, folks. It's hard for us to keep tabs on what's going on.
Yeah, we're trying to cover everything in our heads at the same time. We're like all over the place doing 9,000 things. We will see you back here next Monday, 5:45 p.m. Eastern time for the start of the Puck Talk Fantasy Draft. That starts at 6 p.m., but we will be announcing all the rules, introducing all our friends, and bringing 1 million people over to hear. Yes, Between the Ropes is now moving from Sunday at 5 p.m. to Saturday at 5 p.m. due to the network finally getting
NFL Red Zone.
Every Sunday from, I believe it's around 1 p.m. start time to around 8 p.m. Eastern time stop time. Depends. It's a little early depending on when the games go.
7 hours of football with commercial breaks.
Yay, I don't love football, but here we go.
Neither do I. Congratulations.
But yeah, that's all from us this week. How we did this just slightly over 2 hours amazes me.
We did it.
Considering we had a lot to go over and a lot we did in a very short time. Just an update to something. If you guys saw right before we went live here on Puck Talk, I did do a video on the death of Eddie Jockman. I put that up and we did cover it more here on Puck Talk. So go watch that. Please give a show a lot
please
of love.
do.
Seriously, thank you guys for all the views because my ranking videos have been smashing it. One has over almost 4,000 views.
Let's go.
So thank you for that. We appreciate that. We love it. Please follow us on Instagram, X, and TikTok at Puck Talk ETV. Please, we are working. I am busting my butt while working 2 jobs to still do all the social media stuff and get guests. So please show us a lot of love. Again, a huge thanks to Emma for coming on the show and joining us. I loved having her. I love that there's finally we're getting other females involved and we're getting females on the show to talk about hockey. I love that. That makes me very happy as a female in the business. So yeah, Well, check us out next week. There'll be no episode number for next week. It'll just be the Puck Talk Fantasy Draft. The following week will be episode 17 of Puck Talk. Kellen, 16 episodes in the books. How the hell do we end up here every week?
I don't know, and I'm glad the contract gets renewed every week for us to come back. That's all I can say for it. It's been a blast. It's been super fun.
Shout out to our friends at Playback. They literally make this all possible. It would not be possible without them. Also, a huge... I can't say this enough, and I've been saying it behind the scenes a lot more lately. I've been really grateful for Nick, Nico, Zan, all the people behind the scenes who make this possible at our network, make everything run. So huge shout out to those three guys for being absolute units and just keeping us going, because there would be no this without them. So shout out to all those guys behind the scenes. You guys are incredible.
Yeah, thanks again for everyone who tuned in. Again, as a reminder, Fantasy Draft next Monday, episode 17 the following week. One more preseason episode before the whole show gets thrown for a loop come October the 6th, though. Folks, for Jen Kane and our guest, Emma Miller of the High Danger Hockey Podcast, Cal McClurg saying good day, good night from San Diego. We'll see you again for the Fantasy Draft next Monday. Come on back and join us the following week for episode 17 on the 29th. Back